I would just want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's going to be a fun conversation. And as we're just getting started here, introducing ourselves. Hi there. My name's Mary Miksch. I'm the design director based in Portland here for Neil Kelly. And I'm joined today by two of my good friends and colleagues. We have Amanda Sava, General Manager of our Seattle office, and Sela Ewert is online answering questions, General Manager in Bend. We also have a great office in Eugene. So what makes this fun for us today, I just have to say, both Amanda and Sela and I come from a background of being designers, and now we're in a position managing designers, but today is our day to talk about design. And so super excited to go through our trends forecast and to just be able to share some of our great ideas and how you could apply these to your own homes. With that, let's get started. 2026 trends, home design forecast. Amanda, first, I just want to talk about why does this matter? What are we doing here? Huh?
It's always a good question. And it's actually my favorite time of year. I don't really believe in resolutions, but I sure do believe in like checking out what's new and exciting in our design world. And as you said, we don't get to design as often. So it's fun to kind of hop in and see what our design consultants are thinking are important trends, what they're seeing out there, what they're hearing customers and clients ask for. And we do a pretty deep dive. Mary, your team did an amazing exercise of going through magazines and all sorts for our trends. So that was great. Do you want to chat about that? That was
Yeah,
everybody had
it's
thoughts.
really a collaborative process because some of you out there might be wondering, well, how do they know? How did they come up with these? And this is such a fun activity that we do every year, which is we have 23 designers amongst all of our locations, and they are out there every day. They're designing kitchens every day. They've seen it all. And so getting together once a year to say, not only what are you seeing starting to emerge, but also where do you think we should go? So this is both a look at some trends that are already emerging, but also setting the pace, I would say. Some of these are things that our designers are saying, this is what we want to do, right? And so let's set the trends. That's a bit of this too. So we did have a fun exercise. This is really a collaborative process here, and it's an honor to be able to jump in and share it with all of you for the first time. So with
Absolutely.
that,
Everybody had fun. That was the
oh,
important
yes.
part.
I mean, it's such a fun thing to talk about, and that's why we have such good engagement here. And the first one here, trend number one, return to Earth. I just want to start us off with what does this really mean and why is it relevant right now? This really came up in our conversations just around let's return and be grounded, right? So let's look at, how the world is feeling and how we can return to Earth, connect to nature, really bring back a lot of that natural materials and things like that. What does it mean to you, Amanda?
I think it's exactly that. I think we're all feeling that need for a little bit of coziness.
Mm.
And even post COVID, maybe we all got out of the house enough. And now we're all kind of like, maybe I like that social distancing. Maybe I
Yeah.
like being in my home. So definitely seeing like lots of nice, warm, cozy textures. We're seeing tons of wood. It's
Mhm.
lovely to see. Maybe some of the stark minimalism is maybe taking a little break. That wouldn't hurt my feelings.
We're going to see a lot of that throughout these trends. You're right on there. It's that starkness, that minimalism, returning to something that just feels authentic, grounded, comforting, if you will. Another thread that we'll see through these pictures. But yes, natural stone, just returning to some natural materials. So
Oh, that
highlighting a lot
green
of
is
wood,
gorgeous.
wood grain, the quartzite slab, and getting away from what you said, which is just something that's very stark and laboratory, to this beautiful outdoor space, highlighting the wood. This came through a lot too. I know my designers were really talking about wood paneling and expressing
Yes.
that. Hmm.
Yeah, who knew the 70s would make a comeback, but like in a better way.
Much better way. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I love seeing all these wood grains, the natural beauty, and this one shows it so nicely because it shows like that gorgeous like variation in the wood. And
Yeah.
here's some gorgeous stone, and I mean the view is killer on this one, obviously.
It's all about the view, right? I think that's also what this trend is pointing to is let's just return to what makes the Pacific Northwest so special and amazing and just highlight that. Let's do that with our wood products. Let's do that with some stone that reminds us of our last hike in the gorge.
Yeah,
And here, just highlighting that view and showstopper. Here it is all in one
absolutely.
slide, huh?
Yeah, killer. You've got the view, you've got the wood, you've got those warm tones down low, you bringing those plants in. And, kudos to them for keeping them alive. Well done. I'm not that good at it.
I certainly get lots of light, which is something you could bring into this as well. Just really that natural light when we can get it here in the Pacific Northwest, capturing it and just highlighting it and allowing that to be the star.
Yeah, yeah. We
Terrific.
do have plenty of our
Oh,
people. Oh, this is the good stuff. I was
we're
just going to
getting
say
to
that we
it.
have so many people that request more light in their designs because of our
Mhm.
Pacific Northwest big dark. But this is probably another way to have some fun in here. So,
The more that we can bring that in, the better. But yes, here we go. Let's jump right into some fun stuff. So, statement wallpaper, pattern play. Amanda, I'm going to let you jump in here.
all right. Well, so what I think is great about this trend is, for starters, wallpaper is back. Who knew? Again, things that you wouldn't have thought, things that used to be in like your grandmother's bathroom, we're bringing it back, but better, much better.
Mhm.
And we're also seeing some gorgeous patterns in flooring, in tiles, in ways to just bring into, look at this. Look at that
Mhm.
pattern. Gorgeous. And then also, let's just talk about how all of that pattern is sort of layered on top of the beauty of the wood. There's pattern there. There's pattern over there on the tile on the wall. And it's just playful and fun. This one I love, sleek, clean, beautiful. It's got that great toe kick lighting, but again, more pattern, subtle. You don't have to go crazy. It doesn't have to be, a ton, or it could be a ton. I
I
love
know.
this. One
This
of the
is one of my
new,
favorite wallpapers of all time, I just have to say. And it's just really the star of the show in this bathroom, isn't it?
absolutely. This is a kind of a basic hall bath. You
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily think that it would be amazing, but the whimsy in this wallpaper is just fun. It's fun, and that's, I think, what pattern brings to some of these spaces. And then this one blends trends beautifully because look at all that green and the botanical part
Yeah.
too. So just absolutely, like, even as a hall bath, I would spend all day in this if I were allowed.
So if someone out there is thinking, well, that looks great, but I'm scared to overdo it, what would your advice be for how to really go bold with a pattern or a wallpaper, but how can you make it work?
So I think that our designer did a great job with this one, twofold. One, wallpaper. It is a bear to get in and out, but it's a lot easier than, say, doing a whole tile floor. That's much more permanent. And also, look at all that white space in there. There's a lot of room to breathe in this wallpaper. And then he softened it with all these lovely white tones and the brushed brass, which we'll see more of in our
Mhm.
metallics. It's not overwhelming. It's not dark. It's just light and bright and just really enjoyable. So
For
it's a
sure.
great way.
And I will say, these pictures that you're seeing, these are from Neil Kelly projects over the past couple of years. So while these are trends that are emerging, we're going to see a lot more of, we were able to pull some examples even now just to illustrate what these are about. But these are all projects that we've done recently. So here's another super bold wallpaper pattern.
Yes.
What makes this one work, Amanda?
This one is just the drama, obviously. It's just so bold. And then this looks like more of a powder room, so it's a little smaller. And I love a jewel box of a powder room. Why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you want a little star
Yeah.
in your home for your guests? And then I also see, and we'll see some of these trends further on, but we're seeing some soft arches and different metals and all sorts of good stuff.
Mhm.
This
How it
one
all
just sort
blends
of
together.
screams Seattle sound.
Love it. Love the wave pattern. And picking out wallpaper has just been such a joy, for our clients and our designers to just go. It's like kids in a candy store because there's so much to choose from. But if you find a pattern that just really speaks to you, it can be your favorite thing. Just like that
Absolutely.
one floral one I said, oh, this just brings such a smile to my face. And who wouldn't want that walking into a room in your house every day?
And this one, I mean, Mary, I don't know what you think of it, but the pattern of the waves
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
is a little jubilant, it's kind of fun. It's whimsical. So
Yes, yes.
this is a new one and it is stunning. This one is in Eugene and
Mhm.
it is beautiful. And I love that there's pattern in the backsplash, but again, it's subtle,
Mhm.
but it's like you get up on it and it's a little deeper and it's a little more complex. It brings in some of those gorgeous metal textures. And again, you're layering texture upon texture upon texture because you have that gorgeous backsplash matched with that walnut. It's stunning. And those floating shelves are fantastic because it gives a little bit of, again, room to breathe, room to enjoy some of the open white space.
Yeah,
Uh,
that seems to be the key. It's like this
yeah,
pattern play, but like pick one area to really highlight that pattern. And
absolutely.
that's what elevates this from what we might have seen a few years ago. A kitchen like this could have just had a more of a solid subway color backsplash. And now we have
White
these little
subway.
pops of gold. Mm.
Yeah, I think this just lends itself to more.
Ah,
It's not such a blank canvas and it gives you you can take away whatever you want from this. You can love the green, you can love the walnut, you can love all of it together. It's just really nicely done. And I do see that white there, Mary. We were talking earlier about the Pantone color of the year.
oh,
um,
yes.
so this is not Cloud Dancer, but it's close. Do you have some let me rephrase that. I
Oh,
know you have some thoughts.
clearly, I'm a Pantone fan, yes. And when we're talking about color, I think that that's something that we should consider because color trends, Pantone sort of sets the pace.
Mhm.
And when that comes out every year, it has ripples. It has ripples in the fashion industry. It definitely has ripples in the interior design industry as well. And so it's always exciting to see what the color is going to be. They're sort of the first ones to release it. I think it was, back in November. So
Mhm.
this year, the color is Cloud Dancer, like Amanda alluded to, which is essentially white.
Mhm.
And and so there's been a lot of controversy around that. I mean, what would you say, Amanda?
Well, my first reaction was, oh, white. But then I thought, because they were really kind of known for their big, bold colors. Last year was
Mhm.
Mocha Mousse. There's been a peach fuzz. There's been, a brilliant, beautiful, like violet. They've gone kind of bold. So it's intriguing that they're going a little different with this year. But I think it kind of speaks to those warm trends again, is that people want something a little softer and cozier instead
Mhm.
of so bold and in your face. But I was kind of laughing at first, thinking, well, that's not a color. But then I
Yeah.
thought, physics brain, it's technically all the colors. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. The positive spin I put on it is it just makes such a good backdrop. And
Yes.
especially that first trend that we saw when we were like returning to Earth, what made a lot of that work is that there was a lot of white. So white goes with the wood paneling. White frames the view. It
Yeah,
becomes that design element in the room that is sometimes better than bringing in a super bold purple. But
absolutely.
how this rolls into our next trend, which is about color,
Mhm.
is that return to some warm, rich tones. So yes, away from that gray and white minimalism, let's get grounded. Let's bring back some warmth. The word that's really resonating with me around all of this is that
Yeah,
cozy feeling. And
totally.
so these warm, rich tones, we're seeing browns coming back. Who knew, right? We're
It's
seeing
true.
just these richer, saturated colors
Yeah.
and expressing it. So bringing in the color. Designers love it when you say, I want to do something colorful. And
Yes.
this is how you could do that. So here's an expression that's very bold, bringing in those blues and the wood just together, all in one. But also, some of this is really about saturation, wouldn't you say, Amanda? So it's just like
Absolutely.
going deeper.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And this one just is it's it reads differently on screen. In
Hmm.
person, it's definitely deeper, but gosh, look at that, just luxurious. Like this gives me inside of a jewelry box, that beautiful felt lining or velvet lining that you would see, and
Yeah.
then those rich
Mhm.
gold tones. Like this could easily be absolutely the inside of a jewelry box. And look at that. This is mossy
It's just
PNW at
that
its
color
best.
saturation, right? And the warmth that's coming through in the screen. So even though we're looking at some green and blue examples, they're returning to earth. They're returning to just that natural moss color that has
Mhm.
some more browns in it. So it's that warmer feeling. We're getting away from the laboratory, going back into something that's cozy, and then deepening the saturation on the color.
Absolutely. And Mary, you were referencing this, the subway tile earlier,
Yeah.
and we were all really in on that very basic subway, and it was perfectly square and it was all perfectly white. And look how gorgeous the variation in all these tones of green are. You've got like lighter tones into the celadons, and you've got deep mossy tones, and it's just so much more natural and
Yeah.
less factory laboratory than you were saying.
Well, here's an opportunity to share a little bit more about that, Amanda, because when this tile was selected, likely it was just one piece of green. What are we
Mhm.
seeing here with all of that shade variation, actually?
Yeah, we're seeing green, gray, brown. There's some blues in there. I'm seeing one tile that's just like getting me with the blue.
Yeah,
And then when you look on the other side with the floor, and you can see that little bit of blue coming through and gold coming through in the floor tile, just
yeah.
beautifully curated here.
Yes, and that's just a factor of the glaze and the way that
Mhm.
it's applied, right? So a couple extra glaze on this one, a little lighter glaze, gives you this overall look that is comforting. It is natural versus if every single tile in this picture had been the exact same shade of green, I don't think we'd be getting that same moody vibe.
Agreed. And I think that's why we're seeing a little more on the transitional and into traditional feeling now. It's much less manufactured looking. So this is
Speaking
my
of, yeah.
stuff. Speaking of natural.
Oh boy.
Yes.
So
So a lot of
crafting,
crafting with intention just in this room.
yes. So what do we mean by this? How would you summarize this one?
This one is a little more personalization. This is thinking about how this is well and truly your home and how your personality comes out in it. And I think let's talk through that. This is such a beautiful story. I love
This
this.
is a shout out to Eugene. This is
Mhm.
a custom lily pad mosaic that was crafted for the floor and the entry. And so something that is so meaningful and then showing how this can be personalized, right, Amanda? And
Yes. And you can see
executed.
sort of where they went through their iterations and how
Yeah.
it finally kind of came together. And this is a rendering that one of our design associates did, but in that previous slide, you can see how it turned out. And it's just such a perfect little personalization that no one else has in their home.
Hmm.
So it's, I've had other designers and they're just details, details, details. And those are the killer details right there.
Well, like something like this, I
Mhm.
guarantee this is a paint by number. This is a custom design. And what that means is just having someone who loves doing that and has the expertise to place each tile where it should go for a composition that's just unique to your home, unique to you, and personalizing in that way. And when we think about this as a trend, why do we think this is coming back now versus the beige or stark gray resale value that used to drive decisions?
Yeah. And I loved one of the questions that popped up and I was like, I'm so glad to see Grage being gone. And we are too, don't worry.
Yep, yep. Hmm.
Oh, look at that. Look at the gorgeous, just the customization in that backsplash, but also just that beautiful faucet. That hickory cabinetry is stunning. Again, really dialing into those wood tones.
Yeah, this hits a lot of the notes we've covered so far. So we're
Mhm.
returning to the earth with all of this wood coming in, really expressing it. This project is in Bend, of course, and bringing in the homeowner's love for horses. So again, looking for those moments that will spark joy. And this horse mosaic on the backsplash is something that they'll see every day when they're cooking, and it's so personal, it's so intentional. And it's
Yeah.
just really an opportunity to make your house your own.
And I love that selection of that faucet too. It brings in that little bit of
Ah,
industrial barn feel. And
yes,
again, not many people are going to choose that. And so it just ends up looking like such a standout piece and so personalized to them. And so just because it's manufactured doesn't mean it's not special. It's all about making sure
exactly.
it's special in your home.
Yes, yes, yes. And here we have what we're really highlighting is that hood ornament, the metal that's on the hood. Can you tell us
Yeah.
more about that?
So this was custom wrapped and just stunningly done. It's specially patinaed and etched. So again, bringing in that thoughtful idea of something very personal in this space. So the cabinets are a beautiful gray, the backsplash is lovely. They're all good, but then you see that hood and you're like, never mind, what else is existing in this space? I mean, look,
Everything
it's a
else
stunner.
fades away, right?
It
And
really
you
does.
just see that so intentional, so specifically perfect for the moment, right? Focal
Absolutely.
point.
Focal point. And I will allow gray in that particular situation. I will.
Yes. Okay. Okay, good. And the
Oh,
new
okay. So
metallics.
perfect segue.
Yes, we're always seeing different metals coming in, going. Where are we
Always.
now? I'm going to let Amanda jump in on this one.
Well, I think that that hood that you were showing just a minute ago
Yeah.
was a perfect segue into it, and it's like showing some of those warmer copper tones that we're starting to see. And we're seeing depth in the colors. We're not just doing chrome. I love chrome in a bathroom. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful finish and it will always be out there. But darn it, if I don't love some of these brushed brasses and mixed metals. And then we have this lovely copper that's starting to happen. So gone are some of those more fussy finishes like the oil rubbed bronze and things where you had sort of things where you had a little bit of patina or faux patina kind of showing through. So we're not seeing that. We're just seeing the true metals as more now, and I just think it's lovely, and I think it just adds to the warmth. And then this stunner, the
Mhm.
mixed metals. So
Mhm.
why pick one when you can pick two?
It's just
So
about letting go of some of those rules where it used to be just
absolutely.
all chrome, right?
Yes. And it
Yeah.
doesn't all have to match. I mean, let's let
Mhm.
go of white after Labor Day. Let's let go of it. Everything has to match. Look at this. We've got beautiful black. We've got some beautiful bronze. We have these, wood and metal handles. You've got a little bit of everything. And then the stainless steel fridge and stainless steel stove still look gorgeous within it. So
Yeah.
it's just giving yourself, I think you're right. It's giving yourself that freedom to play
Mhm.
and just say
Yes.
yes.
And all of this, we're seeing that warmth coming through again, just the
Mm,
copper on those stools
yes.
and the warmer metals. I would
Yeah.
say that's kind of a summary of where we're seeing this going. So,
Absolutely. And even though this is, again, kind of a starkly modern space,
uh-huh.
it's so much warmer because of those metals. We
Yeah,
softened it,
little
and we'll
jewelry.
try to give you those moments so that we can do that.
Mhm. Okay, this is super fun. Vintage meets modern. I will say when we were discussing, what we're seeing, a lot of what came up was around different period styles coming back into play, right? And so we used to just be in this transitional. It's nothing. It's neither traditional nor modern. It's meeting everybody. It's when we were trying to have that wider appeal. Now moving into something more specific.
Yeah. We were
Mhm.
all having that Pottery Barn moment for a long time, actually.
Yeah,
Transitional was the word of the decade, probably, if not
probably.
longer. So it's lovely to be able to see people embracing the homes that they have
Mhm.
and making them truly the right kitchen or the right bathroom or the right room for that home instead of trying to sort of shoehorn in a transitional space into a modern
Mhm.
home or a traditional home. So it's lovely to see people just loving what they've got. This kills me. I love this.
I mean, this is crafted with intention. This is everything we're seeing, but it's also something specific. So
Yeah.
clearly, this is very specific. It's not this generic transitional look, but it's tying back to a particular time and place in history and bringing
Yes.
that into the architecture of the
And
house.
they embraced the architecture of the home. Exactly. So they didn't just go with what they wanted. They kind of honored their home. Same thing here. This one was a fun one. They wanted a Victorian kitchen, and guess what? Victorian kitchens don't actually exist. Um,
Gonna
it
be
was
an ice box and
ice
yeah,
box and a work table, and if you were lucky, a sink.
right,
Um,
fire.
so how do we figure out what a Victorian kitchen looks like? But this brings all of that in, and again, still brings in some little punches of modern with the lighting. But we've got some crystal, we've got some natural brass, we've got a more modern hood, but again, trying to recede that into the background. You've got that handmade tile giving you that texture. And then, trying to do something a little unfitted, which would be as close as we could get to a Victorian space, but still with all the modern amenities.
Absolutely.
Oh, we got two different ones here. So
And then boom, we're jumping into the modern, right?
that
Yeah.
modern,
So,
and then you got a little vintage on the right.
hmm.
So, and I love that, again, mixing metals. This little guy, that vintage mirror was part of the original home. And
Oh,
so even though we converted this bedroom, what was a bedroom, into a beautiful, closet with custom millwork and all the things, we saved that gorgeous mirror. So not
mhm.
only do they have a full length mirror, which every home needs, they have a little bit of piece of history from the house that they bought. So I think that's lovely. And it's just thoughtful. And I think honoring the home is one of the best things we can do as designers.
Oh, I love it so much. Yes, tying to specific periods of history and just
Mhm.
celebrating them for what they are. We don't need to be generic with the things that we do, and all of these little touches of history and nostalgia, right? Bringing us into the mood boosting design. Another unplanned perfect transition here.
Mhm.
Because that is a trend in itself. I've
Yes.
mentioned a few times this whole sparks of joy. What is it that just makes you happy when you see it, right? And that is something different for everyone. But what's most important is that it's for the people that are living in the home. And so that's just the fun part of this discovery of design for us is like what makes you happy. So here are these pops of color with the chairs. Super happy, right? And this was something that they brought in that was vintage and just completely elevated the whole look of the kitchen. It's happy, it's personal, it gives them that boost when they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with the little collection of mugs, how you can display something that just makes you happy, that's precious.
Well, and you've
And
got
what
that color play with the
uh,
cabinet, which is lovely. And then we can't unsee it, but that happy cabinet on the right side.
exactly. I know. Yes, look at it. It's a face. You see the two eyes, you see the handle, and you just can't help but smile.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
these are the sorts of details. And here it is. I would say this is
Mm,
cozy wrapped up in one photo for me.
absolutely. You've got those layers of artwork and textiles and books, and it's at a bare minimum, it's that aspiration that we all want, is that like kind of British cottage sitting room idea. Maybe our
Mhm.
houses don't lend themselves to it, but darn it, I want to grab one of those books and one of those throws and curl up.
Oh, 100%. A word that came up when we were brainstorming for these trends was English countryside. It's just that feeling of I have a fire, I have a book, and I'm just really grounded and cozy and having all these personal touches around me, pictures and artwork from the family, a mismatched collection of pillows and blankets. It's just
Yeah.
something that evokes a feeling, and that is absolutely part of what we're seeing. And here boom, makes you happy. You see this pink electric sign with these palm leaves
Love
and a just
it.
custom collection of copper goods from over the years.
Well, and I think that's where you bring in those personalizations and that intentionality. The slide before, those beautiful pillows. Maybe there's a
Mhm.
history to those pillows. Those pillows might be telling us a story, just like this collection up above the window is. Just so many different things. And then, of course, the pink on the right. Who can resist a little splash of color? And I would 100% spend time in that little bar.
100%. Yeah. So I guess the takeaway from this one is we don't need to hide all of those collections in another
No,
room. You can put them front and center and just express yourself. Do something that
absolutely.
makes you happy and shows who you are. It just is that grounded authenticity that just keeps coming through going into 2026.
Absolutely. We're all human. We want to have those human parts of us. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Show them off. Even if it's a funky collection, we can find a way.
and better. But yes, part of this is shaking things up. Let's not just be square anymore. We're seing curves.
We are
So,
seeing curves. And
or
again, I feel like we can say what's old is new again. And who knew, that once upon a time, our grandmother's Mediterranean house with the curves in the doorways and the brown shag carpeting and the wood paneling. Who knew we would be recycling those in different ways now? But here we are. I love
Mhm.
the arches. I love softening things.
Mhm.
I mean,
Arches and
look how much
curves everywhere. Hmm.
easier things are. Oh, there's our beautiful little bar, and again with that pink. Maybe
Little
pink,
pink.
maybe millennial pink is the next his next year. Maybe that'll make a comeback.
I know. We'll have to send a letter to Pantone and
We
say, we've got it
will.
for you. It's
Yeah, we've
this little
already
pink
fixed it.
flamingo faucet that you see in
Yeah,
this picture.
it's perfect. But I love the arches. We see, and the
Mhm.
curves. Now, curves in kitchens are hard to come by. Like
Sure.
most of the time, what you find is it's kind of, Mary and I have designed our fair share of kitchens over the years, and it's sort of like playing Tetris. You're just moving boxes around. So to see these soft spaces and these soft curves are just stunning. And it's hard sometimes to come by things that can curve in a kitchen.
Yeah.
But this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. And I think it just, really holds true to the structure of the house. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but I got completely distracted by literally the squirrel in the picture. I had a squirrel moment. I had not seen that before. We've read
Yes,
the
there it
same
is.
slides, and there he is. I'm like, oh, there's a
But what you were saying though about like how do you fit these things in, I think is a great thing to touch on because especially in a kitchen, what we're really looking for is we want it to function. So that means we need storage. And that
absolutely.
typically means just as many boxes as we can fit on the wall. And so to make those sorts of trade-offs is really intentional, bringing in a curve where we can, or putting in a big pattern with some open shelves. It's just balancing that form and function, of course, which is just always about what we're doing here.
Absolutely. And even if they hadn't been able to do the curved cabinets in there, they still
Mhm.
brought some beautiful curves in and the light fixtures and things like that. There's always ways to soften a space. Again, here's some more beautiful arched doorways. And I feel like I spent the last, 15 years taking those out. We were we were squaring everything off. So we're back to this, but look at how just softer it frames different spaces. I mean, this on the left, how it frames the stairway is just beautiful. It's almost like its own little piece of art looking through that doorway. And same thing on the right, our designer there just did a beautiful job framing that artwork in
Mhm.
the dining room there. Or it's just and the lights kind of line your eye, like you just go
Mhm.
straight to it.
Mhm.
It's lovely and softens things. And there's that curved countertop. Thank goodness. That's a hip saver. We like
Oh,
that.
yes. Pro tip there. Make sure you don't have a corner of a countertop hanging out in space, or you will find it very quickly.
You will find it with your head. Your toddler will find it with your head. You will find it with your hip.
Yes, yes. Those softening, always soften those edges, those overhangs. And here's a way you can do it in a way that's part of the design. It's a much bigger curve, very soft and just really fitting in with everything else there. And this is our last trend we're going to highlight today, but it's a good one because this goes beyond design. This is 2026, where we are just back to health and wellness. How can we
And not
design our
just
living spaces to support us, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's not just about the 15 days of January where you remember to go to the gym and that you remember you're paying for that membership, but really taking care of yourself at home as well.
Hmm. And what this means, we're seeing so many more requests for soaking tubs, steam showers, even some just full-on saunas, etc. But I
Mhm.
think the theme that's really going through all of it is how can I have my home help me be a healthier person?
Mhm.
And that's with a lot of things. This picture just reminds me of meal prepping. Should we be designing a kitchen because you cook every day? But you want to be able to just have this be a system that supports you.
Mhm.
Here's a way that you can get even more counter space with that, with this special sink design.
Yeah.
And otherwise, just bringing in the storage and the spa feeling. So I would say that the spa feeling is a trend that will never go away because
Ever.
everyone loves it so much.
Mhm.
It's just
But
now we're
it'll
seeing
morph.
that be more functional than just pretty, but it's doing something for you. Mhm.
Absolutely. And here's that beautiful soaking tub and just giving yourself the permission to take the time.
Mhm.
This is killer.
But saunas, we really have seen some
Honest.
saunas in the home or a cold
Mhm.
plunge. We're doing one of
Mhm.
those too. So there's
Yeah.
opportunities to bring those favorite amenities from your local health spa into your house and have it just available all year round.
Absolutely. And again, our Pacific Northwest, I feel like we get a cold plunge every morning right now, but just walking out the door. But it's lovely to have these things and to just make sure that you're prioritizing your health in your home. I think it's huge.
100%. And so, like we said, there's some common threads that we've seen coming through all of this, but I'd love to just kind of wrap up thinking about what 2026 is really going to feel like and what it's going to mean to us.
Oh, that's a big question. I am really, so again, not being that resolution person, but being that trend and how are we going to live our 2026? I do want it to be cozy. Our world is a little topsy-turvy right now, and it's nice to know that we'll all have a safe space in our home. And whether we're expressing that by texture or color or maybe it's, let's not do the brown shag carpeting. Sorry, I should not have brought that up. But I think that being happy in your home is mission critical. And that's what's, if you can bring that happiness forward into the world, you're going to be in a much better space.
Oh, 100%. And we're seeing just that nostalgia, I would say, too. And
Mhm.
so just the feeling of a home being a place that feels familiar. How is it going
Yeah.
to feel familiar if you're bringing in things that you just don't relate to personally? But that
Hmm.
sanctuary, the coziness, all of
Yes.
that is just so rooted in everything that we're seeing here. Jewel tones
Absolutely.
and curves, and thinking about diagonals too. So
Yeah.
it's not just like, is it straight and narrow or is it a curve? But how can
Mhm.
we trade things up here? Is that an
Mhm.
example of pattern play?
Absolutely. Why not put in and Dave asked us a question. How do diagonals fit into the design? Can they contrast with the
Mhm.
curve? Of course they can, but they can also just live on their own. We're seeing in pattern, we're seeing tons of chevron, but better, like not just the white subway tile chevrons, but double chevron and herringbone and things like that. And so those can just make those diagonals sort of part of the fun. And I think, again, anytime you can really play with pattern and texture, you're going to create kind of a fun thing to live in and look at. So that's the other thing. We're sitting in our homes. It's not just about what we're sitting on, but it's what we're looking at too. So
Mhm.
making sure we
100%.
have those moments.
Yes. And another question here from Ann Powers. Talk about wood choices.
Oh boy. Well, do you want to take a
Yeah,
stab
so
at it?
some
Just
some of the
thinking about this
examples that we
photo.
saw, right?
Mhm,
And so yeah, this photo being one of them, but the wood, look at this one that's kind of in the background. We're
mhm.
seeing the knots. We're seeing wood be wood, right?
Yeah,
So this isn't just a perfect engineered veneer that's all one color of walnut, but
yeah,
it's let's express it. Let's bring in the variation that's inherent in wood and allow that to be part of this pattern play. So
absolutely.
whereas we used to kind of highly control the wood tones that would be in the room, now we're embracing that variation. You saw some examples earlier that would be of some exotic hardwoods that have high variation. So some are very dark next to very blonde in some of
Mhm.
those outdoor paneling examples that we saw, for example. But in the kitchen, I would say we're always seeing walnut, of course, but now knotty alder is coming
Yes.
forward.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
love Naughty Alder just for a couple of reasons. One, its character is lovely and its color is lovely, but I also like the fact that it is a local wood.
Hmm.
So it is sourced out of the Pacific Northwest, and that just is one little thing that we can do that makes the world a little bit better instead of shipping something from the other side of the United States or shipping something from Europe, things like that. So I do love that. I think cherry could be an excellent choice this year. There's some variation, but it's also warm and inviting, and it's got a beautiful flame pattern to the wood. We're still seeing plenty of oak, wouldn't you say? I mean, in floors for sure, but also in cabinets, I'm starting to see more and more there.
Oh, I kind of jumped over that, but rift cut oak or quarter sawn oak, that came forward in the past couple years and it's not
Absolutely.
going away. And just
Yeah.
to be clear, we're not really talking about the honey oak of 1990. It's a bit different. And so it's the way that the wood is sawn in the mill brings out a different pattern. And
Yes.
so that is something very specific, but still out there and it's not going away anytime soon.
It's a nice refined way to do wood, especially if you do have a more modern home. It's a great way to do it because you do have to think about these things. Again, I think anytime you can honor your home, it's it's a little jarring if, say, you walk to the outside of this little cute little 1920s, cottage, and you walk in and it's all stark West
Mhm.
Elm modernism. So it's like
Mhm.
finding that right balance of what your style is and what your home is I think really important. So
Yes, 100%. I always say you don't want it to look like a spaceship landed, right? One of these things just doesn't belong. But there's just such a balance there. And again, just taking away from our conversation today, what do trends really mean and how important are they? And I see them as opportunities, right? So hopefully this has been inspiring for those of you listening, that you can see something that genuinely resonates with you, that then you can say, yeah, I want to go for that. We should never feel the need to jump on a trend just because everyone else is, of course. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I do hope that you've been inspired to think about your homes in a different way, bringing things in.
mhm.
And if you want to keep talking, we are here. So if you go to the website shown below, neilkelly.com/webinar, there are some tools there that you can continue to play with, continue to think about. Some great downloads of checklists and how to get started so that you can continue to just gather your thoughts, talk to your partner. What do we like? What do we want to see? And when you're
We is an
ready, talk to
important part
us.
of the discussion.
What's that? Yeah, getting
The
on the same
we.
page. Oh, yes. It's fun, but we can also help you with that, certainly. And
Yeah.
so when you're ready, sign up for a complimentary design consultation, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about what we're seeing and what is possible for you.
And I see a question from Christine. Christine, I will answer you offline and get you kind of dialed in on that one for you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm just
Thank you,
gonna,
Mary. Thanks,
yeah,
everybody.
thanks,
It's been
Amanda.
great.
Thank you, Sela.
Thank you, Sela.
Yes.
All
Enjoy
right.
your day.
Take care.